next play investors. What's the next play? What's the
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing? How's everything going? It's another great Sunday here at Next Play Investors. We're going to have a good little talk today. We like to welcome everybody here and thank you for coming to join out and taking a look at what we're doing. It's a community, a family of people, and we meet here every Sunday between 7:30, and 9, and we sit around and talk about a plays and different things that we need to make going on through the week in the markets, whether it's crypto, whether it's insurance, building credit, getting business credit, whatever it may be. To kind of we sit back and vibe and talk between amongst each other and on ways to take plays and advance to building generational wealth or just being able to live the life that you want. We want to thank y'all for actually joining us every Sunday. Go join the actual Facebook group, catch us on Instagram, and be able to like, enjoy, share some of the content that we find and post within the group. Definitely enjoy and thank you for everybody for coming out. If it's your first time here, I'm Frank. And so, usually what we do is we go over to the live where everybody else is because we do this remotely where you're seeing it on Facebook. And so, we go over to the live and kind of join everybody else. Everybody else kind of come in and, we kind of have our good time and everything. We'll have some charting going on tonight. We'll have some conversation going on tonight and we definitely going to have some other surprises come along as well. So I definitely want to thank everybody for being able to come out tonight, and let's go over and see what everybody else is doing, and see if we can get some things going. Other than that,
maybe 6 or 7 women in here that I fell out with, hard fell out, and and they was here today. So that shows the power, the growth, and just being able to grow emotionally. And I think that sometimes people don't heal, and so when you don't heal, you can't move the way you want to move when you're not healed, when you're an unhealed person. And right. I think oftentimes I don't really share my talents to a lot of people. My friends, they know it, you know what I'm saying? But right. I just think, like my homegirl who's the commissioner, I didn't realize that she said that I can hold this at this facility and don't even have to, I have to pay for it. So even if we decide to do something for Next Play, it's just being able to be connected with certain people.
Right.
I'm just, I'm sorry. You didn't. Oh, you're good. Go ahead and go. I mean, I'm sorry.
But
it can. Yeah. It can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, welcome to the Next Play Show. We do a success story every week, and just so happened we bridged in with Nicole sharing her success story for the week, and we're gonna do a retake for everybody out there in Facebook, YouTube land. Nicole, LaShawn, Tubner, everybody is going to give you guys the jewels of vision. Take it away, Nicole.
Stacey, that was a great introduction. So, hey, everybody. So basically what I was sharing with Stacey while Franco was doing the introduction is I've been doing vision boards for about 8 years. And so this year I decided to just kind of step out and host one for the first time with my friends. And many of them have been to the other vision board parties that I've done, but we actually had one of our friends to get on board with us, and he did a what you call a vision quest. And so we tied it in with creating a vision board, and it actually broke down like your family, and like starting with that first circle and looking at your mom, like your mom and your dad, and then going to the next circles and looking at the people who raised you. And it was just very powerful, very, very deep. And I think that one thing that we talked about, and I mean, this was on a perspective for men and women. So I started this with a group of women. However, we want to move it and invite men to come because healing is just so important. And healing is important with families, any type of relationships, with your finances, just healing. And we just was like, that's something that we don't do as a Black race. And so it was just so powerful to be able to put something together and then just watch it. And then knowing that it was something that I started doing, not that I started it, but I started doing in 2015, and just kind of watching how it has manifested in 8 years, and just watching how I grew not only spiritually, but physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I just think that's so important, even in Next Play, is we're talking about how we want to move with investments and move with our finances. It's so important for your whole body, the whole being, to be completely healed of whatever, if it's childhood trauma, whatever trauma that has have just kind of reached you at some point in your life. So, I want to do something with Next Play very soon. But we are definitely going to sit down and kind of devise a plan. I thought real estate was the direction I want to go in and get my license in that as passive income. But I think I'm going to go ahead and get my license in counseling, in Christian counseling. And because Stacey, you may have the business mind, but then I have the counseling background. So what can be the next play with making sure that that everybody is healed. And I think once people are healed, you move differently. Really?
So how did the circle?
The circle?
Yeah, how did that work?
So with the circles, so I'll just say with my circle, I had my mom and then my dad. And then when I moved to the next part of the circles, on my mom's side and my dad's side, who were the people who were very impactful as they raised me. And then when you moved up to one of the bigger circles, so he said that you had like 86,000 seconds. And in that circle, you had to think about all the things that you think about in those seconds. And like, for example, a lot of people put food.
So that's 86,000 seconds in one day?
In one day. And wow. What are all the things that you think about? Because you know everything functions with our brain.
Right.
And people don't realize that. The function is that your brain is so powerful. And we really took a bigger look at it, because think of Miss USA, this beautiful girl, this jovial girl, this girl who does all these interviews, and she was an attorney at 30, but she jumped off a building. And you just never know, someone can be depressed. I saw I think it was Franco, he put something on Instagram, which I thought was very powerful. And he said that he was in a certain place, and now if you need to talk to me, I'm here. Because at times people can't open up and talk to people. And in our race, it's always been taboo for therapy or to talk to people. Or it's always go to God. You know what I'm saying? And nothing is wrong with going to God, but sometimes you need to be able to have someone to say, I don't feel right today.
Right.
I don't feel right. And so talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Or you can look at a post or anything. People put stuff on social media all the time because they mask things. And, that's just, the biggest thing is, like my homeboy Sean said, we pay for all types of products. You pay for this, you pay for that, but why not pay for healing?
Right.
And being able to heal in all aspects of your life. And one thing that I was very vulnerable, I was very authentic. And that's one thing I respect myself for, to be able to be authentic in front of 20-something people, and to be like, you know what, Stacey, in 2014, we fell out. But guess what? You're still in 2022, you're circled back at my house. And right. We're here in this room together. And for those men, they was like, that's a big approach, Nicole, because you said it was about 8 people in the room you had fell out with
right.
At some point on your journey. But it shows the level of growth. And that's what I said. It's so important for you to grow on a spiritual, physical, and emotional. And your emotional state has to be together. And I think, again, it's just something that we just have to stop being silent about it.
Right.
Because like I told my homeboys, I often, I mentioned to you all, my friend, he died by suicide on my 40th birthday. And he cried out for help several times.
How?
However, we omitted it.
But how did he cry out?
Let me tell you, he wrote a post a couple of months before he died, before he took his life in May of 2019. And his mother had passed away in 2008. And he wrote down, and that was 2019, he wrote down the hours and the seconds and the days that his mama had been gone. And as a friend, we didn't even see that. But what we did as friends, we talked about it amongst ourselves. Did you see what Rob posted on Facebook? But instead of doing this, picking up the phone and like, Rob, you okay? Because at that point in our circle, he didn't feel that he had anybody, even me being a former school counselor, he didn't have anybody that he felt that he could talk to. And I thought that was very powerful when I saw that on Franco's Instagram, that it takes a lot, when you grow, to be able to make those type of comments and to be able to say, I'm here for you. Because I had a friend where he was circled around a bunch of us, and at the same time, we wasn't there when he needed us the most. And so I'm just really trying to take one of my spiritual gifts is counseling. And so I said, absolutely, I want to get passive income with real estate. Absolutely, I want to do that. But I know that I got to be able to reach people in a different capacity, and I'm all for it. And I definitely want to make sure that I include Next Play in that next platform.
I'm curious about the 83,000 seconds. Did y'all like break down each second, or I don't know?
No, we didn't break down each second. We just kind of just thought, and I would just be funny. I mean, because people lie so much. People just, and that's what Mike said when he started the presentation. He was like, people lie. People get on social media, make stuff up because they're seeking some type of attention. But when you break this thing down, you're actually being honest with yourself. And that's the thing, sometimes that's hard for people to do, to be honest with who they really are. And then you have to realize that your family becomes the foundation of that. Your family is your foundation. And so it was just like, it started from the family, and then it just kind of grew. Even looking at the future, which was the big circle at the top, which was, you had to take the future, and in that circle, you had to do a half. So in that half, you had to write all of the goals that you wanted to accomplish in a short term, which would be like 6 months. And then you had to identify your long-term goals. And so what he did is Mom, bring me that vision board thing, please. Bring me that black poster, please. And so what we did is we took my vision boards and we kind of married them together. So we took his vision quest, which you really need to start it. So so this right here, I didn't do my vision board tonight. If y'all can see it, what I did was, okay. I don't have a camera like you. So if you see my vision board, I started from 20.
Oh, wow. How'd you do that? You took pictures of it?
Yeah, so I took pictures of this, and then I just went to Walgreens, and I created this at Walgreens yesterday. And so I put it on a poster board so I could be able to explain my visions and how I started. So for example, what I'll share with you all, I don't mind sharing publicly, I put 100 in this corner. I put $100,000. This was in 2015. And in this little tiny corner here, I put promotion. And so my 2017 board is not on here, but what I explained to everybody on that board, I put 100,000 here, but in 2017, I put 70,000. I put 70,000. And what I had to explain to everybody today is that God tells you to dream big. You know what I'm saying? And I did dream big, but then I lowered myself. I lowered my standards. I I did a decrease. And it's like, why are you asking for $70,000 in 2017 when you asked me in 2015 for $100,000? So I explained to the team, of women who was at my house, now in 2022, I am about $6,000 from that goal. But when I created this board here, I was making $46,000 as a school counselor. So I put on here that a delay is not a denial. And so if things don't happen right, your business don't start right when you want it to start, don't give up on it. You got to keep going, and you got to keep dreaming big and just writing it down and making it plain and setting your goals. Mm-hmm. And so, I use that as an example. But I shortened this board so I didn't have to, show all of my boards.
Right.
Just to show people how it works. A vision board is not, when people get invited to vision board parties, they often just, go and just cut out pictures in magazines and just make some pretty board. And then you don't understand how it really works. But the way that I teach vision boards and how to use vision boards, I do it on a spiritual, because it's a spiritual journey. So it really connected. Stacey, I'll get the copy and I'll send it to you.
Okay. Because
I'm really wanting he and I to do some big things in the future with that, because we could come to an investment. We could come to like an investment meeting and use that strategy to show someone, how to set your vision for your investment, and we can turn that into an investment quest board.
That could definitely work.
Trying to do.
Y'all create not only the vision, but plans that go along with the vision. Like
yes.
Okay.
So the ladies, they had that teacher in me. They had a whole stack of paper over here, and so I showed them a whole bunch of books, because you have to know how to do it. It's not just coming to a party, drinking wine, eating good food, and cutting out pictures. And that's the mentality that people have. And so then when someone asks, like when they come in my bathroom, they be like, oh my God, like your bathroom is inspirational. And I laugh at it because I'm like, it really isn't. But those affirmations, you have to speak into yourself every day. If you don't speak into you, and if you don't invest and pour into you, it doesn't. But one thing that I did, which was really powerful, and I wish we recorded this, I think the guys did, but what we did is I went around the room, no lie, to every person in this room, and I congratulated them, on their successes. Nice. And so when you just got to have the right people, to me, circled around you.
I think the affirmations are important, because they quote unquote programs the sixth sense, or programs the subconscious mind to act without you telling it to act, just by repeating the same affirmations over and over and over again. Eventually it kind of seeps in and kind of moves forward. Frankie, look, you got something to say.
I feel like I got a whole counselor. I did not mean. Hey. Hey, baby.
Yeah. Gotta have a vision, gotta have a plan. So that was good. Another thing I got, she said you gotta dream big. Everything's here. What somebody said, you don't go to the ocean with a teaspoon. It's a big ocean. Okay. And so
Reggie, I was thinking about you, and I was like, what side of town Reggie stay on? Because I needed you to come in here with that 360. That 360 camera. When I tell you we needed that today, because my homeboy I don't know how they were filming, but they were filming, and I was like, man, I said, this guy named Reggie in my group, he got this cool thing. I was like, we need him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I just didn't want to speak over nobody. Lot of stories being told tonight.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Frank. You got one for us? Oh, wow. Oh, under your personal name or your business name? All business, no personal guarantee. Man, I see that. That's dope, man. You really owe it to the people in Next Play and the people at Facebook and YouTube to break it down. Really, you really do. You got to give the story. At least give it 10 minutes. There you go. There you go. Ooh, it's 86 and 83,000.
It was 86,000.
86,000.
Stacey, if you was in my classroom, I'd be like, I'm gonna call your mama. Not me.
Wait, can you give him a teaser? Can you at least do a teaser? All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Nicole. Nicole got a question.
So I have a question with it because I'm all on personal credit. Y'all know I don't have a business yet. It's in the making. Mm-hmm. So how is your scores determined? So is business credit scoring different from personal credit scoring? Okay. And okay.
Yes, it's scored differently. They got another system.
Wow.
For business credit scores. Yep.
Okay.
Now, Frank, could anybody do? First of all, how long did it take you to get business credit? Can anybody get business credit? So
you said 3. So, okay, I know y'all were giving me, well, Franco did about 3 weeks ago, gave me a little timeline. So I'll have, so we're working on the LLC now. And I told you I'm in the process of doing that. So you're saying that, okay, I get this LLC, right? And say that's March. So I have that in March. So you're saying in about 3 months, I could start applying for business credit under my new business?
well,
Oh, I understand. I was just asking because I want y'all to know I'm moving forward. Oh, yeah, of course.
focus.
So this, y'all know my life is, my schedule is busy. So I am paying someone to take care of that. So I am working with someone. They're doing that on my behalf.
Wow, nice.
And so I'm grateful that they offered to do that. And,
Nice.
and so when we talked about how much it would cost, I said that's fine. And so he's going to help me lay all of that out. So
I think it's a good investment. I think it's going to pay dividends. I think you get your money back. I think it'll pay dividends in the long run. You know, having that option, and so now you like two entities. You got your business credit and you have your personal credit.
right.
And so you can say, well, I'm using my business credit for one thing, but I'm gonna save my personal credit to do, maybe to get a house or something like that. But the business credit may, business,
Because we talked about purchasing a car. So I talked to my mom, and I'm in the market to purchase her a car. So I'm excited I've never been able to do that for either one of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she can purchase her own car, but I want to purchase her a car. And so I was trying to figure out, do I wait and try to get this business set up so I can purchase this car out of the business account where I'm utilizing that, saying that I'm utilizing that for my business as well?
I think so. I'm gonna tell you one reason I could say to be smart is because it won't, number one, be on your credit. Mm-hmm. So your debt to income ratio will be different. It'll be on the business side. Okay. And by you paying it off is going to make the business credit stronger. And a lot of times business credit card amounts are a lot larger than your personal credit card amount. But because you own the business, mm-hmm. you're the boss, you can decide how you want that business credit to be used. So.
But I'm gonna definitely talk with you and Franco like offline Because you don't want to put too much of your business out, because I do want to make sure that I'm moving in silence with a lot of it.
Right.
But, I mean, I definitely want to kind of reach out to you all, offline to talk about that. But I mean, I've been sitting in the group listening. So I've been trying to put my passive income together. Y'all know all my different little tricks and stuff I tell y'all every week. But now I am, even like with Franco and the mindset, I have really reshifted my mindset. And I am definitely looking at long term. You know what I'm saying? I have 12 more years tied up in my first career. And I'm like, I want to be able to make moves where my passive income works for me. You know what I'm saying? And whatever I'm doing with the Clayton County Public Schools money, that I'm doing whatever I'm doing with that. But I want my passive income to move for me. And I really didn't understand that until I got connected with you all. So I want to just tell you all, thank you, because you just never know the connections and networking and circling with people, what it'll actually do, because that's been on my boards. And I didn't understand why I cut out a millionaire mindset. I didn't understand that when I cut that out in 2015, but I guarantee you I understand that in 2022.
Hey, I want to interject before we move to the next success story. Everybody online, I'm sorry, I had my mic muted, and only the people on the online call can actually mute it. So I did say I'm gonna try to drop that nugget again in the Facebook group, because nobody heard nothing I said. I just realized I was muted because I didn't want to make no noise. But hey, man, that's funny right there, right? Like, they saw the picture, but next, who got a success story?
Well, you can get out, but you can't get it out. That's all I can say. You can get out, but you can't get out.
I didn't mean my success story to take up like 30 minutes. Whoa.
No, Nicole, I ain't say you. I'm talking about me when I was talking.
Oh, no, I'm just saying I didn't know that it was just good stuff today, y'all. And I was just thinking about the group. And I really, to be honest, I wanted the people here to join the group tonight. Because so I'm working on them with that. But sometimes it takes baby steps. It took me baby steps to really get that portfolio together. Y'all know I still be messing up on my stop losses. That's probably why I done lost money. But it's okay.
Oh yeah, well, right now the market is
terrible.
Yes, other way.
So, what's your success story for the week?
I don't know why I'll never be ready.
I'm ready.
I am in a bit of a suspended state right now. I think I got some good success stories coming down the pike, but they're not here yet. I'll speak on them when the time comes, though.
Can't wait to hear him.
Well, I'll take one. So this week, we did 2 successful option trades. Me and my buddy, well, he's part of Next Play too. His name is Jason. We call him the Math Millionaire. And the reason why I call him the Math Millionaire, because he has a doctorate in mathematics, and not really big, not an experienced trader, but he's an experienced thinker, and he's good with numbers, and he's good with percentages. And sometimes you gotta, everybody has a gift. And I think his gift is being able to look at things differently, being able to explain them differently. Like his school, because of his math program, their scores are out of the off the charts in the math program. And so he and I have been trading options, and we did 2 this week, and they went really well. And tomorrow we're going to meet up. But that's really the success story. We actually met up and spent the entire day formulating a plan on option trading, on doing different types of options. And hopefully within the next 30 days, I'll be able to present something in Next Play. on how to do naked puts, covered calls, because that's what we're doing. We're doing what's called an iron condor, and it's really exciting. We say we're printing money because we are literally printing money. We are printing money in the stock market. Of course, everything has risk. Everything, it's a gamble. We're not financial advisors or anything like that, but doing covered calls and doing naked puts have generated income for us. And we're doing it on a small level.
A naked put.
Yeah, naked put.
A naked put.
P-U-T.
What is a naked put? I'm trying to say,
naked put.
Please explain to me what a naked put is. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, I can tell you what a naked put is.
I know about naked put. I ain't never heard about a naked put.
Naked put. Where a naked put works is, let's just say you wanted to buy Coca-Cola. And you said, man, I love me some Coca-Cola stock. But right now, Coca-Cola is probably trading about $50. And you said, man, if Coca-Cola is $40, I will buy it. If it was 40, I'll buy it. But right now it's 50. So instead of waiting for Coca-Cola to drop to $40, you can say that there's things in the market, and this is what a naked put is. You can say, I bet, $3,000 that Coca-Cola will be at $40 in 2 weeks. Right? And you can put your $3,000 on that bet, and they'll pay you, say, $40 that it'll be there. Right? They'll pay you $40 to put your $3,000 up to say that Coca-Cola is going to be at $40 in 2 weeks. Now, if Coca-Cola does not make it to $40, you keep that $40 premium in your pocket. Cha-ching, you just got paid. And you keep your $3,000. You don't have to pay it. That's a naked put. Now,
naked put.
If Coca-Cola drops and it makes that $40 mark, well, heck, you wanted that $40 anyway. So you got what you wanted. So you just pay for the shares. You got the shares. Now you own the company for $3,000, $40 a share. That's where you want to be anyway. So the whole idea is, if you just want to make money, if you just want to generate money, your hope is Coca-Cola don't hit $40. It doesn't. Nah, it don't hit $40. And then you collect the premium in your pocket. And then the next 2 weeks, you say the same thing. You do the same thing the next week. And then you do the next week. But not only that, instead of buying one contract, you buy 10 contracts. So now the $40 that you normally would get is now $400 in premium.
I like naked puts.
You can run a naked put play. So we run the naked puts, running cover calls, and and this is just a form of putting your money to work. So
naked put
and passive cash flow. Yes, passive cash flow.
Naked put sounds sexy.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty sexy, man. Pretty sexy.
Something smooth and full, and
Stacey, I want to ask a question though about your shirt. What does that mean? The 1% Club.
Oh, the 1% Club. Well,
we love your shirt. So
yeah. Well, a buddy of mine named Franco hooked it up for me. He made it for me. So if y'all need some shirts like this, But the 1% Club is the elite. Of course, like Nicole said, you got to dream big. So, affirmations, you see it, you believe it, and this is just part of it, to be a part of the 1% Club,
I definitely need one of those shirts in pink and green.
No, they don't come in pink and green. They don't come in pink and green.
I had to talk to Franco and shoot Franco an email or something like that.
Because pink and green, see, that's another club. In order to join
I need to be in the black and gold club.
You got to be in the 1% Club. You can't be in the pink and green club and the 1% Club. You might be a part of the pink and green, but
I
it's
got
the
you.
1% Club shirt.
So the 1% Club, it appears that the colors are gold and black from what I can see in the computer.
Gold and black, and I think that's
that version.
That's the second version?
Yeah,
okay, I don't know what. Well, I can take a gold and black one, you know.
Oh, dope. I like that.
Take a gold and black.
Go.
Yeah, you got
because I need that gold.
That's $19.99. We'll send you
All right.
an invoice.
All right. How can
I wouldn't settle, Nicole. I wouldn't settle. Get it in pink and green.
Reggie, thank you. Now you begin to be like Stacy. I don't have a backup. I know Sequesta always is.
A true 1%er. A true 1%er would get it in pink and green, and then market it to the rest of the club.
You see, Reggie, we was thinking the same thing. Reggie, we was on the same path with that.
I'll take 15% commission on that idea. I appreciate you.
I tell you what, Reggie. I sell you the shirts, you dye them pink, and get your 15% commission and sell her the shirt. That way, in the group, everybody get paid.
I'm sorry, my man, but I don't see no trademark on this. You done talked your way out of this situation. This A&B conversation now.
So, Franco, you better get you a trademark.
This A&B now.
Listen, it's enough money. Hey, do y'all know what GDP is?
Yep.
Yeah, gross domestic product.
Gross domestic product.
Thanks to Next Play.
Yeah, there's so much money out here. I want everybody in here to win. So if I inspire you and you make it, and you become 1% that actually do it, man, make that money. Just say I helped you out here and give me a pat on the back. That's all.
Look, I love it. Like, listen, I was watching my cousin do that little thing with the little pressing thing. I thought I was capable of doing it. I ain't about to fool with that. My patience was just like, I ain't got time to be. I'll leave that to Franco and all the other people who do that.
All right, well, let's talk about the market a little bit. This week, the Dow Jones Industrial gained 1%, and it is currently at 35,900. The S&P 500 gained 1.5%, is currently at 4,501, and the Nasdaq has gained 1.6% and is currently at 14,694. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about Facebook and a couple other down stocks here in a few minutes from Franco, but we'll look at the sectors. And this week we had consumer discretionary number 1, financials number 2, energies number 3, information technologies number 4, consumer services number 5, healthcare is number 6, utilities number 7, industrials are 8, consumer staples are 9, real estate is 10, materials is 11. And back to real estate, has anybody seen, I don't know if anybody's searching for real estate, but I've been seeing a lot of ads with price reductions. I've seen, I've seen reduced prices as much as 25,000. I've seen some for that. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of the prices are sky high. I've been seeing like little small 2-bedroom, 1-bath, non-livable spots for 200. A buddy of mine, he was telling me about, his house. He thought his house was 130,000, I think. No, maybe 200,000. Then he finds out that it's 300,000. Just like that. And so the prices are extremely high. But I have been seeing in Zillow where I've seen ads where they say that prices have dropped and they're asking for buyers, like buyers needed in the ad. But then again, I look at real estate every day. So I don't know if anybody else has seen that. No one.
So Stacey, my mortgage went down.
Why?
I don't know. I when I went to pay Keratin Mortgage take it out on the 1st and the 15th, and my mortgage went down, which that's a good thing.
Maybe your PMI has gone away. Maybe you paid your house down so much.
I paid the PMI like maybe 5 years ago, so I haven't been paying that in a long time.
Oh,
Yeah, so I wanted to go back. That was interesting that you said that. I do want to go back and look. I don't think anything went down as far as the pricing. I mean, if like the appraisal of my house, it could be maybe property taxes, but I noticed a $20 decrease in my mortgage.
Okay. What were you about to say, Frank? What y'all think about Apple? Apple went down like what, 20%, 20, 25%, something like that. And not Apple, I'm sorry, not Apple, forgive me, Apple. It was Facebook. I know. 238 billies. Wow. But did he really lose it? Because chances are Mark Zuckerberg didn't sell his shares.
Because the money was never lost. The loss or gain doesn't happen until you make a transaction to convert. Even on taxes, the money's not gone. It's what we're reporting. But even on taxes, it's just reporting what that particular stock is at the time. But outside of that, the money hasn't been lost. If 6 months down the road that comes back, and he hasn't sold or bought any other shares, then his value goes back to where it was at. So unless he decides to get rid of something, nothing's really changed. As a matter of fact, for me, the way I look at it, I just say that the stock is on sale.
I tell you what would be interesting if we could maybe set a calendar alert, because you know that the 13F filings are not going to come out until the next quarter on what happened during this time when Facebook drops, right? It'd be a good idea to go back and visit and see what the filings were and see who bought Facebook, because somebody's buying Facebook at this deep discount. And it'd be interested to find out what investors or what whales, so to speak, bought Facebook while it was down. And the way to find that is to go back and look at the 13F filings. And if people out in YouTube land don't know what that means, it is a law where if you bought over $100 million in stock, is that right, Frank? I think it's 100 million.
I think it's less than that. I think it's 10 million. I think it's less than that. You have to report it.
Right, they have to report it to the SEC.
Yeah, it's 10 million that got to be reported to the EGA database. I think it's 10 million. And
I thought it
then
was more than that.
it might be more than that. I have to go back and look
But
at. I
anyway,
forgot the
make a
number.
long story short, this information is public information, and you can go to the Edgar database and find out what happened, and who bought, and you can kind of see how the inside of trading goes. You know, when it comes to the whales coming up and buying, and that's like a you know, like Reggie was saying that you don't take a loss until you sell. So he could be holding his shares in anticipation of the market, Facebook market going back up because he's an insider. And then the big hype a few months ago was the metaverse, and Facebook is in front of that. So they're involved in all this new technology. So you might want to take a look at Facebook, and you could actually make money, just like I just spoke about, by buying naked puts on Facebook. So right now, I think Facebook's around $133, $134. If you think Facebook's going to drop to, you know, 115, you could put a naked put on it and generate some revenue.
All right, so back to the Edgar thing.
Yeah.
So it's 10 million, but it's one of the situations. 10 million is where you actually have to file the form 8K. But
Okay.
you see what I mean? But it's stipulations on which one it is, because over certain transactions of 100 million, there's another form to actually file, but that's still filed in the Edgar database too. So yeah, the 10, like, so because you can still get 8K information, it's just gonna show small stocks. But if people go check out the Edgar database, they'll actually find like all the forms and everything. Because if I start telling you all the forms after so much, like all this stuff is filed as public information. So it actually, you know what I mean? It actually has to, and it depends on the class of the company or entity that actually file. So some of them only file big, like
BlackRock.
they only going to file a certain amount of shares every time they move their shares. They're not really doing 10 million shares. You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
that they're in a separate entity class, and it just depends like how they file it. But as long as they got to file that 8K report, at 10 million you have to file the 8K report. So everybody can find that information on the Edgar database. It's public information. If you want to know who doing what, you just gotta wait for it to hit and watch it and remember that it's there. And that's pretty much it. But it's a free service.
Yeah, yeah. And some people use that style as a trading platform. So they'll go into the Edgar database and find out what whales bought, what stock, and basically try to follow the money from there. So it's a good way to trade.
Interesting thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way to trade.
So you was talking about housing and how the prices are going down.
Mm-hmm.
Lumber prices are going down, but like we was talking, like I think you said, like people finding out houses going up, and it's really funny because interest rates finna go up.
Right. The stock market is down.
The stock market is down.
So a lot of that money has been taken. Well, if it's a lot of retail investors, you could say they probably sold out because the market was crashing.
Mm-hmm.
And, let me get my money out of here now, where, like Zuckerberg may be holding and so on and so forth.
So now I ask the people in the next play again. What do y'all think? What does everybody think about the next play? Because something's going to happen with the housing market. Something's going to happen with interest rates.
I question the sampling of the acknowledgement of a price decline, and the reason is because in the housing markets, the housing market is much slower to move even than the stock market when it reacts to things. One of the reasons is because of finance options. Finance options, when people lock in their prices, is very, very few people are doing what we did, back in 2008, these mortgages that had an arm, that after 1 or 2 years, they'd change. So once you lock in your prices, those are usually good for either 15, 20, 30 years. The other thing is that the reason that you're not seeing a lot of change really fast, and this is from, I have a number of friends that do real estate, and I've done mine a bit in the past, dude, on some rental property and stuff like that. But the thing is that when people right now, you are starting to see some price fluctuations and value fluctuations when people are using cash flow to determine home values. When we're talking about investment property only, not the average homeowner, but for investment property. And the reason that you're starting to see these fluctuations, these are what me and some of my peers are noticing, is because it's the first of the year. People are signing new leases, and those leases are now being upcharged. And we are now looking at, instead of your usual 5 to 7%, we're now looking at 10 to sometimes 20% rent increases, and people are having to sign these new leases for 1 or 2 years. And when that happens, when a person signs a new lease on a property, it affects the cash on cash return. So once you've locked in another lease and you made from the investor up their rent 10 to 20%, now your cash on cash just went up. You see I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Totally understand.
And because of that, now we have some price increases as far as investment property. So investment property is actually going to be getting harder to buy. And until we actually truly see that inflation come down as a result of from what I've been looking at right now, in the last 3 days, there's a lot of different people that are wondering what the Fed is going to do, whether they're going to raise the interest rates a whole lot really quick, or whether they are going to straggle it out over the year. So some people are in a camp where they're going to see 2 or 3 rate hikes by the end of April or May even. And then some people are thinking that, well, we're only going to see 1 hike, by the end of first quarter, another hike by the end of second quarter, another hike by the end of third quarter. So because of those things, that's why I really am wondering if the price decrease that you're seeing might very well be an anomaly, because everything that I have been seeing with regards to housing and housing prices, it's just really, really tough to see and make that type of make that type of a acknowledgement that, hey, we are actually seeing a decrease in housing prices. Because you are right when you had mentioned that the price of lumber and things like that is actually going down, but the price of houses is not. And I just don't see it. It's like housing and real estate. Those are going to be some of the last things where you actually see come down, because the contracts and things like that are too long. It's not. It's just not responsive. They don't turn on a dime.
So, Reg, let me ask you a question. Speaking on that, how do you think inflation is going to stop? How do you feel about inflation? What do you think how do you think inflation is going to affect the economy?
Right now, inflation is a little bit on a spiral. It's kind of on a spiral up. And the reason is because nobody's run out of money yet. And we were just talking about this a little bit ago, in that, they're now, again, there's a couple camps on this, but there are people that are saying that, hey, we aren't funding America anymore. And because the government isn't funding America, like, with the stimulus packages or the child credits, because of that, it's only a very small matter of time for inflation to come down. But the problem is that people's checking accounts, not checkings, but savings accounts are larger than ever because a lot of people have been putting away that stimulus money and things like that. And the stimulus money is not over. The child credit is not done yet. So there's still a lot of money for people that didn't have it before to be made. And also these companies are raising prices. And the reason that these companies are raising prices on firm goods. Okay, someone raised a hand.
I did. I'm waiting you finish. No, you got to finish.
But the reason that these companies, especially large companies, are raising prices on durable goods is because people still have money to pay for them, thanks to all these stimulus plans and all this free money that's been running around. And until, I don't think we're going to see a real decline in inflation until people have had enough, they've depleted their bank accounts, and been like, we can't afford these price hikes anymore. Once they can't afford them, the market will correct itself, things will come down, and tech will take its rightful place in the pantheon of stocks and companies to be investing in. Because right now, tech has been taking a beating. But remember, it's not like these businesses have shut down. All these tech businesses are still doing what they can to innovate and to bring down the costs of their productions by replacing, by subcategorizing things. I hate to say it, but replacing people with robots, automating tasks, all these things. So once people run out of money to spend and the market corrects, then things will go back to quote unquote normal. But I don't see that happening, honestly, for the next, I'd say maybe more than a year. I'd say probably 2 to 3 years. I don't really see this correcting. So if you're in it and you got your house, you got everything locked in, you're good. But if you're trying to be on the come up right now, this is a very, very bad time for you to try to be on the come up. You need to sit tight. And I haven't sold anything, even though I've been feeling it on my investments. Luckily I bought at a really good time. I bought about this time last year, and for some reason we had a nasty bottom last year, and I still haven't hit that bottom, so I haven't lost anything yet. But I'm sitting tight when I could have sold. A whole lot of people are selling. The whole YouTube community, all these financial advisors and stuff on YouTube, they've been selling their practically entire portfolios and talking, market crash.
Right.
But it doesn't happen. Who cares if it crashes? If you're still holding, crashes come back. Anybody can witness, from the pandemic. People panicked and sold when things crashed in March of 2020, but they came back roaring. Anybody that was still holding back then was making out like a bandit by the end of the year 2020. So that's just my 2 cents.
Let me add on that 2 cents and say, where you were just talking about the YouTubers and everybody selling out. This is also a way to get some of that flux of money out of the system by the YouTubers and also the retail investors dumping because of this so-called crash. You get it out through inflation, through taxes. You raise the taxes, you get it out that way, and then through the market. And I think
that's true, but you're also a big proponent of Warren Buffett, right? And Warren Buffett says, never time the market. If you try to time the market, you're always going to lose. So all these people that pulled out, once they see things turning back up, they think that they can jump in. They may have missed out on where the bottom is. So right now, I'm just like, as long as I got my rent paid and some food on my table, I'm not going to dip into this stuff because again, my stocks have taken a big hit. But I ain't seen that loss. I don't see that loss until I sell. If I sell at a low price, yeah,
Right.
I messed up.
All right. So guess what? Now we into the next play. I like all y'all input. Well, I want us to think differently. Somebody told me to think differently a while back, and it has changed my mind. So instead of looking at the glass half full from you and him, what if they just moving the line and resetting it? Because like Reggie said, ain't no money lost if nobody sells. The market's gonna go back up. The housing prices, they're not. If the only thing that drove the housing price up was the lumber price. That's the reason why houses went up. Is because of the lumber price. Right?
Labor price too.
The labor. So the labor price.
That's not just it, though. That's not just what drove the price of housing up. The pandemic is what drove up the housing price because of the mass exodus from people that were living in the city, the same houses and cars. The prices got drove up because nobody wanted to take public transportation anymore for fear of catching the quote unquote pandemic thingy. I don't want to say it online here.
So
but for fear of doing that, and people that lived in apartments and in big, high rises, buildings and stuff like that, they all wanted to leave that cracker box living and go and find a place with its own four walls and at least a little bit of lawn between one house and between one dwelling and the next. And that's what drove the prices up.
Okay, so I'm gonna agree with you on that. But Reggie, let me ask you this question. When all those people decide to go buy houses and the lumber price was one way, when the demand, we know supply and demand creates prices. So, right? So we're going to say supply and demand raises prices. The more demand, the higher the price. So when all those people left from the apartments and started buying houses, it drove the number up. Now, if the number's coming down, that should mean that less people are buying houses.
What number? What number are you talking about?
The price of lumber is going down. That means there's less demand.
But here's the thing. The price of lumber going down, all that means is that a lot of construction companies are going to be collecting some profits for the next year or so until the pricing catches up with that, until house pricing catches up. Because remember, the house price, the final product that all that lumber and all these resources create, those prices are locked in for at least a year. So now that lumber's gone down, they're like, oh man, we're going to cash in on this. We're going to keep charging the same rate. But they're just going to cash in for a while until the market corrects. I guarantee that's how it's going.
So I'm gonna give this one to Nicole because I want to add this into it because she brung it up. First time home buyers can't get a house because it's not affordable. If you don't have $300,000 or better, you can't get a starter house anymore. They don't.
Right. So I'm sorry. Can I interject?
No. I'm giving it to you. So if the price of lumber's going down and you can't buy starter houses, I'm gonna just punt it and leave it there and let Nicole finish out her thought. I seen when she posted it. It was what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Thank you, Franco. That's what I was asking. If anybody was able to see what I posted in the chat, because I know we were talking about this real estate. So, I mean, do you all think, just thinking where we are right now, it's February, do you foresee that these home prices will continue to rise this year? And like you were saying, Franco, I definitely wholeheartedly agree with you. If it was me back being a first-time home buyer, being 42 years old, $300,000, I'm not for sure if I would even want to go that route as a first-time home buyer. I probably would say, let me just rent. And then when you think of rent, it's unbelievable. Y'all know I'm super transparent. Like, nobody is going to pay what I pay for a mortgage in 2022. I'm gonna just be honest. My mortgage is like $770. You won't. I mean, I think the last time I paid $770 for rent was when I was in college. I paid that for a mortgage on not a single starter home. And I just think that I can see myself right now, like my overhead paying $1,900, $2,000. I have friends who are paying $1,900 for rent in an apartment downtown, and that's just rent. I mean, and so just imagine, even if you did get in a $300,000 home, you're looking at these interest rates, they're low. So when I purchased my house in 2010, it was 5.25%. So, you know, I pondered the fact, should I refinance my house and get a 3% interest rate, or just try to ride this thing out? And because all it's going to do at this point would be to lower the mortgage. But I know it's a lot of people who would like to be in a situation to pay $700 for a mortgage. But I just don't see, you know, I don't see the home prices going down anytime soon. And with Franco saying the lumber prices are going down, then those builders it's going down, and now we can get this product. I feel like the builders, it's just my opinion, they're going to keep building, and they're going to want to keep building at these higher prices.
So, if you have more people making more money and more money still in the ecosystem, has the line moved, or is there going to be a pullback? Because now the wealth gap has moved. Because there's a clip, and you can find it online, that CNN did, that said black spending doubled since the pandemic, but the black wealth has actually went down. It's been the worst, has actually gotten worse. All right, so we'll just use our culture for an example.
I saw that.
Other cultures have gained wealth in the pandemic, and now the line has moved again. Because who's gonna be like, and when we talk about the people that don't make enough to pay $300,000, we're talking about everyone. So I just putting out the headlines for context to understand about the money line, how much it has moved. When you look at it, if home prices are going down, and we know that they're gonna keep building $300,000 houses because they know they can get them sold, what's gonna happen? Is the housing gonna keep going? Or is the housing is the prices gonna come back down?
I think the market is going to determine what happens. If the Feds continue to raise the rates, then you're going to be able to, first of all, the higher the rates, the more interest you're going to pay.
The less home you can afford.
Right. And so if these people at some point can afford these $300,000, $500,000 houses, then the person who owns the property is going to say, I got to reduce my prices so I can get my house sold.
It sounds good. It sounds good on a textbook, but I don't think that that's reality, because there's at least 3 more buffers to deal with before we see a true market correction. One, like I said earlier, and I mentioned the wealth gap thing. I talked about this last week, you know, with the wealth gap. And the thing is that, you know, there are so many other things. Okay, so this whole thing about, you have to come up with not only 300,000, you got to come up with 300,000 cash, like instantly. You got to be able to. You can't be like, hey, give me 5 days to put all this together and have the bank, you know, get a check, get a certified check or wire or things like that, because there are people out there with literally cash money that you are competing with. The new home buyer is, for lack of a better term, effed for the next year or so, next couple of years. I know, because I'm in that market, and I've just said, forget it. I'm not going to worry about it, because me trying to buy a house right now, the thing is right now is might be one of the first times in history. Well, no, not the first. 2008 was the first time in history. But right now, buying a house is not a guaranteed increasing investment anymore. So if you buy a house now and spend big money, matter of fact, there's all kinds of go on Reddit and things like that. There's so many people with regrets that have bought a house in the last 2 years because they wanted to get out of that rat race. They wanted to get out of that apartment structure. They wanted to get away from mass transit. And they bought these houses sight unseen with no inspections, none of this stuff. And they paid a premium for them. Why? Because they had the money. Why? Because they got their PPP loans. They got their EIDL grants. They got all this free money. And they're like, why not spend it on something that I care about? So they did that. That money is still there. That money is still in a lot of people's wallets and a lot of people's bank accounts. And people will always increase prices because they'll pass on a price increase. So if the cost to make a particular good goes up, they'll be happy to raise that. But when it goes down, think about it. Just like with gas, when the price of oil goes down, how long does it take for gas to actually come down in price?
6 to 8 months.
That's what I'm getting at. So take that and apply that to the housing market. So even though the price of lumber's gone down, the price of a lot of different things are going down. Okay, it's not going to reflect in the house. It's going to take at least a year, if not years. A year is positive thinking. Okay, I don't mean to be a glass half empty type person, but the thing is I know it's going to take that kind of time for the market to correct. But that's all right as long as you got time on your side. And if you're an investor, you should know the beauty of compound interest and what time does for you. So if you can ride it out, if you can ride out this storm, okay, because that's what it is it's a storm. You just got to ride it out. Once you ride it out, you'll come out in a good place because a lot of these people will realize, man, my home ain't worth a jack. 3 years from now that they paid a premium right now for their house. Then they're going to look and they're going to go 3 years from now, like 2025. By 2025, people are going to be like, forget this. Plus, life is good back in the city. I like my lifestyle there. People were accessible. Things were accessible. Once people start moving back into the cities, be like, I'm just going to take the loss on this house. Now, all of a sudden, all that stuff is going to be available. And the only people that are going to be hurt is people that still will not be able to get into a house and afford a house because rents ain't coming down. And when you pay rent, you ain't paying nothing, but you're paying for somebody else's future. So that's again, my 2 cents. I didn't mean to throw it out like that, but
Reggie, I agree with your point when you said earlier about like with the whole 2 years, not saying that you gave up on trying to purchase a home, but just think about it, you all. If you did purchase this home for $300,000, say you have about a 720 credit score, and you go in and you get a pretty decent interest rate, and say, but you are looking still at a $1,700 mortgage. Could be $1,700, $1,800. And so I think with people that's renting now, especially our young people, this young generation, if I could pay $1,800 for rent, I don't have to deal with all of the hassles it is as a homeowner. And I think as a homeowner, when something go out, I got a $1,700 mortgage, but I am responsible for everything that goes wrong in this home. But if I'm renting and I'm renting at, Stacy Rivers apartment complex, and it's $1,900, Stacy Rivers, they are responsible for everything that goes on. And I think with that mindset with these young people and how they're moving, how they're moving in society now, I think they don't think like we think and how we were kind of like brought up to, you go to school, you get this, we talked about it before, you purchase a home. I think that it looks different, but it's kind of similar because $1,600, as a homeowner, I still got all these other responsibilities. But sometimes I think in my house, if something goes wrong, I'm like, hell, I wish I could pay somebody rent so Stacy Rivers Company can come over here and fix all this stuff, and Nicole don't have to worry about it. So it's like a catch-24 with a catch-2020.
So I want to say something to you, Nicole. And I'm not picking on you, nor am I trying to call you out. Because this was a surprising thing that I found out. And I think, again, we got to change our mindset. You know what I mean? Because actually, like Reggie said, most of the people that bought new homes are them same millennials that we're talking about now. They moved out of the city and they finally decided they wanted a home, and that's who really, like, all the new people in tech that work all these tech jobs. That's actually what drove the price of homes up, because all the millennials finally decided they wanted to be out of the city, and they started buying up houses. If you go online, you'll find a lot of reports. So that's why I kind of brung up all this, because we've been in some things we looking at it right, but I think we're underestimating, because we may be of mature age and they look different from us. I think we're underestimating the millennials' power, because they're creating a lot of money with crypto. They're creating a lot of money with business, like with credit, with financing, with uh, and that's why I wanted to bring it up to everybody, because a lot of the money that's being created is being created by the millennials coming up with new concepts that are testing the old guard that's out there. So I wanted to bring that up and say, when we looking at some of this stuff, maybe look at it, consider look at it, think about looking at it, that the millennials are actually in the phase that we were when most of us first started trying to really get money and really try to have stuff. A lot of people was in their 30s, late 30s. Some people got, you had exceptions in the early 20s. So we may have it wrong on the millennials and the people that are and the young people, because they are creating a lot of wealth. They're not, and they're actually wanting to buy stuff. Like, that was part of the shift for the pandemic. They started to want to have land. And so, and that's why I wanted to say that. But Reggie, you got something to say? And then Nicole, you said something too.
I did. So I wasn't speaking about millennials. They don't use millennial anymore. I believe they are considered the like the generation Y. So I'm looking more at the generation Z, and I'm speaking on when I'm talking about this paying rent. I'm speaking about my little cousins who were like born when I was in high school, more so like 1998. So I'm not looking at the millennials. Millennials are very kind of close to us. So I'm 1979, but I think like the generation Y, which are now who were formerly called millennials, they're about 1981, maybe to like 1996 somewhere. And I think the generation Z starts about 1997. So I was a junior in high school. So I'm speaking on like my little cousins who are paying $2,000 for rent in Buckhead.
So can I say
So
something? Can I say something to you?
go ahead.
That's what I'm talking about. Those people that were paying $2,000 of rent in Buckhead, those are the ones that moved out and bought houses. Because that's what I mean when I say, instead of looking at it, you're wondering why they paying rent, because they making money. The young people are generating money from their cell phones. That's why you don't have so many people working anymore. The workforce is dying because the young people don't figure out how to use their phones to generate money from trading stocks, from investing in crypto, from
Mhm.
from investing in real estate, from Turo, from all these different, from just running DoorDash. There you That's why I said I wanted you to consider and reconsider and change, and maybe just look at a different avenue, because the young people, all this money is being like even though we look at our culture, other young cultures and a lot of our cultures, because the crazy part about it, black people are leading more in cryptocurrency than any other race. And a lot of people don't even talk about. You don't hear about that, but if you go online, black people are adopting cryptocurrency faster than any other race and actually excelling in it. And you can go find articles on it. So when you say they spending $2,000 a month, are they spending it because it's crazy, or their reality? The line has moved because they created a new line. Because the young people, they're not people that keep saying, "Oh, they don't want to go to work." They don't have to. They actually got into financial instruments where we never got taught as old people, and we look at them like they crazy. But are they crazy? Because they making money and they ain't doing nothing but getting up every day. They looking at and working with their phone.
I understand. I understand your points, but my question to you and the group. So, with that being said, would that be now? Remember that millennials are not called millennials anymore; they're called Generation Y. So, would it be your Generation Y people that's making these moves? That's kind of not far from our age, or would it be your Generation Z people who are making those moves? So, would it be the millennials who are truly doing it? Because I have friends that's millennials, they're right close to me, and it's a 50-50 thing. Some of them are homeowners. I have people in Generation X, which should be all of our generations. I'm not for sure about Sequesta, but Generation X is where we all should land. And I have friends in Generation X who are homeowners like me, and I also have friends in Generation X who are renters and been renting for a very, very long time. So I think at the end of the day, it depends on your mindset and just depends on you as a person. But I do think, because if you look at all the generations, you got people that's buying and you got people that's renting. It's kind of like a 50-50. It just, to me, it just depends on people, depends on their finances, credit. I think it's a lot of factors that determines why people are purchasing and why people are renting. That's just my thought behind that, because a millennial was born in 1981. I'm born in 1979, so that's not far from me. But a Generation Z person was born in 1997, and that is where we are seeing a lot of the technology. Not saying we're not seeing it with the millennials, but who that technology is really hitting with is those Generation Z kids, and those Generation Z kids were my students that I taught.
Okay, Reggie, you had something to say because you got your hand up.
Okay, so trying to remember, get my track back. The thing is you said that these people are making money right now. The thing is there was a real cutoff, and this can all be shown. This will all be in the history books, in the next couple of years. But the thing is everything changed around March of 2020. And if you had gotten a home, if you had bought a house, January 2020, December 2019, any of these times, if you had bought a house, if you had locked in anything that you did, at the time to lock in major purchases, whether it was houses, stocks, even commodities, things like that. When the pandemic hit, it took a monkey wrench to all those things. Once that happened, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, crept in, took the stock market for a ride that had never in our lifetimes had seen. But anybody that held out, anybody that didn't sell their house, anybody that made those investments before 2020 and managed to hold out until right about, the end of 2020, made out like a bandit. Okay. But unfortunately, what it did was it separated the wheat from the chaff. So the people that were barely holding on in 2019, 2020, which happened to be people of our melanin content, those of us that were barely holding on got shook out of the tree. And that's what has caused and will continue to widen the wealth gap, because it's going to be harder and harder for the next at least 3 years to get back on that tree, because those people that have been shook out, there are just not a whole lot of avenues to get back on that tree, because those people that got shook out don't have I don't mean to put it this way, but don't even have the wherewithal to figure out how to make money in the digital space, because there's plenty of people out here, like you said just a minute ago, Franco, that are making money in the digital space. But these are people that are, when you're worried about, figuring out how to keep a roof over your head or how to put the next meal on your plate or how to feed your kids and things like that. Those people aren't plugged into YouTube trying to figure out the next crypto trend or trying to figure out a lot of those things. Those people are stuck in that circle, the circle of poverty, the circle of these things. And they, you don't realize it. Just like we live in Atlanta and we don't realize how the rest of the world operates when it comes to Black folks. And oh my God, the culture shock that I experienced when I moved from the Midwest, when I came to Atlanta back in 2004, and the first place I worked was in Dallas, Georgia, and at the top of the company they had a Dixie flag up, and I was like, oh my God, is this where the Klan is at? Because back where I'm from, when you see a Dixie flag, and my friend had to tell me, he's like, oh man, that's the state flag. I was like, are you for real? Did I make the right decision? And the thing is that not only that was that I realized that I didn't have to wear a suit and tie everywhere I went here. Back home, as a professional, as a buppy, a Black urban professional, okay? Because I was doing well for myself back home, up around Chicago. I knew everybody of color that was doing anything in the industry. We had a very tight network. I was in a golf league with these guys, okay? And the reason is we had to stick tight because there was so much stuff against us. Even if you're walking down the street, back home, I could be walking down the street today, and there's, I hate to say it, but there's white ladies that'll still clutch their purse because they see me coming down the street. It's very, very different here. And I remember another story. Here's one of the first things that when I came down here, I went to the gym is I always used to bring a spare set of clothes, nice button down and things like that, because I would always, because this is what I had to do back home. After you work out, you have to take a shower and then.
All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us for Next Play Investors. We kind of in the after hours of the night. Tonight was again a different show. We trying different approaches and doing different things. We don't want it to always be about teaching. Everybody gets a chance to share their ideas, share what they think, and we sit around and ponder and talk about it. The show is about learning about investments, but learning about investments is also talking about things that are going on in the market, so we can look at it and understand what moves can be made to create investments. It's all the conversation. It's all the part how you frame it. Everybody has their own opinion, and everybody's opinion is welcome here in Next Play Investors. We definitely want you to join us again next Sunday. We're here every Sunday from 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. And it's just a group of investors. We share information with each other. We talk to each other. We fellowship with each other, and we build with each other. Whatever race, color, creed you are, we welcome you in Next Play Investors. We definitely want to make sure everybody understands, man. The information is meant to be shared. We all trying to make a lot of money. GDP is over 23 trillion dollars. There's no way one person can make all the money. So share the wealth, share the love, share the knowledge, and enjoy everything with your friends. And so you got to have a group of people that you actually can talk to and share ideas with and learn from, so you can put your plays together and you can get yourself ready for the next play. It's one of the things I've learned myself, is learning how to navigate and deal with this real world that we live in. It appears one way, but it's really another. So again, I invite everybody out to come and join us here at Next Play and get a chance to look, learn, listen, ask questions, get information. It's grown folks talk that's really about grown folks business. I definitely want to tell you that thank you again, and everybody have a wonderful night. Enjoy your week. See you next Sunday, and hope to see you on the live. Until then, thank you for joining Next Play Investors. Good night.